Tell me about who do I have the pleasure of sitting with here? The founder, entrepreneur. Tell me a little bit about
OnlyEdge.
Okay.
Sure. Well, let's start with the problem statement, which is 90% of private equity sponsors agree that the most important driver for deal success is finding the right operator. So any delays result in missed deal opportunities during origination and post value creation after closing. So what OnlyEdge does is we have a purpose-built agentic platform for private equity sponsors to win the talent race for operators with unmatched velocity, precision, and agency.
That's a powerful pitch. For those who maybe aren't as familiar, when you're talking about operators, right? So you've got a private equity transaction, you got a company coming in, buying ownership interest, controlling the company. Are we talking any industry? Is your platform available for any kind of company, any industry, or what kind of operators would you say? Speak to that a little bit more.
On the operator side, we're referring to C-level executives or C-1. That would be either CEOs, CFOs, COOs, etc. And they come in either pre-deal as an advisor, right, to help vet the operational due diligence to get private equity firms to conviction on opportunities that they're in first round LOI or second round. In order to get that exclusivity, they need conviction among all of their internal diligence and external diligence to rely on various third parties at the right stage.
Man, that's some very interesting uses of AI, correct? So when you say agentic, you're implementing some technology solutions that are essentially, I guess, helping find the right people, but also enhance the human capital by utilizing AI. Would you say that is also something?
Pretty close. You're pretty good at reading these.
Okay,
I can tell you have a good business sense.
I like to talk. I like to think. Private equity is probably one of those things that unless you're in it, most people don't think about it. They just go to the store, they buy the products, they don't know who owns them, they don't know how many times that company's been bought and sold. For me, I like to understand as much as I can about things. So, how did you end up in this space? It sounds like you're very shrewd, you're sharp. How did you land at the intersection of technology, private equity, and human capital?
I like that because it's multi-layer and it's a bit of a multi-phase of my life. I have a few decades of experience. You can tell from a little gray in the hair.
Oh, I was gonna say you look pretty nice with that haircut, man.
No, thank you. It's not el natural.
Okay.
So I would say, let's add up the phase one of my life, which was spent in investment banking, where I capstoned it with being head of M&A at 3 different banks. That taught me sell side and financial products and working with private equity as a client. I then became an independent sponsor, which is just in the word for private equity sponsor without a committed fund.
So it's finding projects that you want to invest in, providing the capital.
Correct. Think of it as project finance, say in real estate or infrastructure projects, for project-specific deals in private equity, where you find an asset or a business and create a special purpose vehicle, find investors, structure around that. Of course, there's negotiation and financing involved with that as well, and then making sure that there's a piece for you at the end as well.
Right.
Yeah. So I've done that for a number of years and layered that in with another phase of life in which I've been a part of a number of startups in technology and in various capacities.
Kind of by nature, with private equity and capital kind of chasing that productivity and those returns, a lot of it has been in technology over the years, right? Or not necessarily.
When you say technology, yes, technology drives or enables efficiencies. So the way to kind of think about where we play in the talent race or talent space is when you think about private equity as an industry, it's a winner-take-all game. in which top-performing private equity firms receive the majority of LP capital commitments because they're top-performing. In addition to that, it also allows them to see the most and the best deals that's available in the marketplace. It's, in a way, self-selecting performance. Right. But what's driving performance, what's driving that alpha, is today with the deals that are being done and the multiples that are being paid, and with leverage, there's also an extension of the holding period, which also means that in order to create value, and which is how you define returns and alpha in a investment, you really have to execute well on that value creation plan with the backable team and the growth of that team, which requires finding the right operators, as we talked about. So it is the thesis that having the right operators with the speed to put them in those positions in order to lead the organization enables the acceleration of executing that value creation plan and other growth or turnaround plan for that alpha, which thereby then creates the cycle of when you get to liquidity, it all then enables that particular private equity sponsor then to capitalize on raising more capital, making more investments in the future.
So that leads me to ask the question, your product, the target demographic, the customer, the fund, or whoever's it's for, are you looking to help enhance those A players become A++ players, or is this a product where you can take maybe a smaller fund that because they had the lack of experience, or maybe they weren't enhancing returns as much as their competition, can you come in and help these being C funds move up the scale in the ladder? Where would you say your focus is more?
So there is a segmentation in terms of where, say, our target market is. I would say your gut instinct is correct in terms of it could be quite broad, but there is a core. And so let's break that down a little bit. On the smaller end of, say, lower middle market funds, they have less infrastructure in terms of people at the fund level and also at the portfolio level. And as a result, the staffing of transactions and the operation of transactions is performed across a smaller team. Whereas a middle to a larger fund, and you get to the global funds, they have significant infrastructure. And they're vertically integrated across a number of different functionalities that a smaller fund would not have due to resources. For example, all the back office, which includes talent management, compliance, legal, accounting, finance, risk management, etc., investor relations. So we see our target market being ideally from middle market to upper middle market as the ideal customer segment.
Enhancing an operator's efficiency is not necessarily going to move the needle as much if they're backlogged in all of those, if their cost is higher for, the tax accounting. They're not vertically integrated. Having a better operator, it doesn't push them forward as much as someone who is controlling all aspects of the business. Does that sound about right?
Right. There needs to be functional expertise and specialization, division of labor, if you will, in order to optimize a team or an organization.
I feel honored to talk to you, man. This is up here level finance, looking at kind of capital markets from the equity side, integrating technology, but also you're not just automating people out of the equation. It's enhancing that person. It's enhancing that operator through technology, which I think that's really great. I like talking about human capital and capital in general. So give me a...
Let me, am I jumping a little bit?
Go ahead, jump right in.
So today, this is a large industry, call it human capital services, talent management, et cetera. Not just in private equity, but it's an industry in itself, right? So let's just focus on the private equity piece and how it's serviced today and why the opportunity exists for a company such as ours. The cost of doing business for private equity to acquire these high caliber top operators is one that is done in the traditional B to B to C executive search model, which means they hire a firm such as a Korn Ferry or Hydrix. We know these firms quite well, global leaders. They do a fantastic job of identifying, qualifying, sourcing, and ultimately convincing these individuals to be matched with the right opportunity at a private equity sponsor or portfolio company, depending on the role. That process is high touch and generally quite manual. And the way we say it, without being too insulting, is there's some outdated workflows and some manual processes, including interviews, including slow scheduling, among other things that can be enhanced with technology with various agentic functionality. Not all of it, because it's still a human business, but parts of it can be, and it can be done with a robust proprietary data layer that enables the sponsor to build a proprietary edge with having data from what we provide on the platform.
I'm just thinking, these companies are hiring, but it takes them 2 weeks to respond to an email, right? And it's like, are you really hiring or what? Like, what's going on here? You guys are too busy to get people in here to do the job you're too busy to do?
Yes. If you think about it, technology doesn't sleep, right? It's 24/7. And you've actually just identified what is a very common sense pain point, which is if you hire a firm, it doesn't matter if it's a large or well-known global firm to provide this service, and you're the PE sponsor or portco, is some human on the other end has to schedule, make a phone call within business hours and at a time when they're available, right? Just that logistics itself, which seems so simple, can get delayed days or weeks because of both people's availability.
Right.
And not only that, it requires them to also want to prepare in advance, if it's video, to suit up, etc., to make sure that they perform well for that one shot, and hopefully get all the data across to an individual who, in our view, has the potential risk of being biased, because it's humans to humans. Either side, we're not saying that they are, we're just saying there's always the possibility, because you never know who that partner or senior person is on the human capital side, who's a professional, of course, but then on the other, you never know.
Right.
But what we're saying is there's an opportunity here to use an agentic voice interface on both sides of this user journey. Not only on the operator side, which is the candidate side to onboard and qualify through this voice interview process to get a high fidelity of the interview without the bias, quickly at any time of the day, and it could be at 12 o'clock at night if they wanted to do that at their own time, right? Perhaps sitting on the couch. Doesn't really matter.
That's incredible.
And we don't need the video because we know that creates friction.
Right.
Now, all we really want is to get the speech to text in order to enrich that with the resume, as well as the enrichment with public sources that are available from the digital footprint of this individual. And you can think about how having that in an enriched profile for an individual can be compounded quite quickly because of just that one functionality. But we have much more in terms of that end-to-end workflow that we've tailored specifically for private equity. And I'm going to give you just one more example, which is we thought about if you're a sponsor on the other side and you hand off this search, this opportunity to say this third party, sure, there may be potential delays, but we also think there is something called information loss or priority drift, because that is a client services business that has other clients to manage, of course, as they should. But if you have agency and you can own and control a platform that enables you to have the tools with agentic functionalities, with accuracy that you can trust, then would you not want to use this tool with the ownership of building that and owning that talent pipeline? That's the most critical piece of the asset that drives returns for the business. It seems to me that the answer should be,
right,
why not? Let's see what it's going to take.
You can consolidate all that time lost, get to a decision quicker, and then be like, hey, does this person fit with these people we already have? And you can just bypass months and months, potentially years of the search. If you look at the entire organization and how many employees they might hire in a given fund life or whatever, you could save potentially years of time.
Well, we're actually saying, let's get more data and have you be empowered with more data. And what is that? It's one example is you hire a firm, their job is to screen, and their job is to tell you that they went to 100, maybe even 500, to exhaust that possibility. But keep in mind, most of it's done with human research, mapping, profiles, et cetera, against a criteria that was conveyed through another human. So we see that as a game of telephones with some potential miscommunications, although that's not the intent, but it's possible. And context sometimes may or may not be lost. Nonetheless, there's a trusted party on this end that says, we got you, and I will exhaust that and do the funnel work so that I save you time, you trust me, and I'm a pro, and then I will show you the top 20 maybe, and then ask you, maybe I'll go to 5, 10, etc. However that funnel is agreed upon, right? Time is an issue. We talked about that. Information loss is an issue. We're saying, because you don't see any of the other 480, perhaps, if you went to 500 and you got the 20, or some ratio, why don't you have all the information on the rest of the 480? It's all sitting in this firm, and they own all that intelligence, and they own all that data, all the resumes, all the insights, with or without interviews at that point in time.
They might not even be using it.
Correct. But it's there. But even if it was, it needs to be updated periodically anyway. So that's their IP. But if it's so important for your business as a sponsor to get edge competing with, other PE firms, why don't you want to own the most important strategic asset, like I said, that's driving through that return? It's people, it's the talent race. So we want them to win that talent race. And we have to change consumer behavior a bit in this situation, but we want to make sure that this platform is there for them to have and exercise that option. So you now understand when you have all 500 data points.
Right.
You may not need it today, but if it's searchable, if it's scoreable,
If it's
against
sellable,
deals, it's pretty powerful. Right. There's a lot of things you can do when you match it against the deal side with, say, a sponsor, permission-based workflows, etc. So we're excited about this.
This is why my conversations go longer, man. Because once we get into them, I love talking to people who are deeply entrenched in what they're doing and can speak to it with confidence, precision. They're concise. One more time, give us the name of your company.
Oh, sure.
Your name. Tell us where people can find
OnlyEdge, OnlyEdge.ai. We've got the .com as well, so you're going to hit that. You're going to get redirected.
The only edge you need, man.
And the OnlyEdge, we have a short video. It's a cute animation, which plays on the logo that we have, which is a race flag. So it's about winning, and you can see the O and the E in green to highlight the energy and the velocity of that winning. But it's an F1 car that's driving through it and talks about winning and what is edge. So we start by asking, what is edge? And so at the end of the day, it's making sure that we deliver that edge to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Man.
Thank you.
Joseph, thank you for explaining, man. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Let's connect. Let's go.
Absolutely.